Welcome to this edition of AWTC Presents Her Story, a series where we feature our AWTC members. I'm your host, Cecilia Sepp. I am a member of AWTC and also a volunteer on our marketing committee. In this episode, we are featuring our member, Carla Lochiatto. Carla, welcome to Her Story. Would you like to say hello and tell us a little about yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this. I'm really honored and excited. I really enjoy being a part of AWTC. As you said, my name is Carla Lochiatto. I am the director of the CSO Center for Leadership and Development at ASIS International. ASIS is a security organization, a professional society for security professionals of all types. The CSO Center for Leadership and Development, we call it the CSO Center for short, is an organization just for chief security officers, so the highest level security folks or their direct reports from very large global organizations. So lots of companies that you would recognize, their chief security officers are members of mine. And I manage that organization within ASIS. And we provide education, learning, networking, community resources, and all of the things that you would imagine an organization would provide for their members. So it's very exciting.
That sounds really interesting. And I know ASIS is truly international. So you have members pretty much in every country, correct?
ASIS has 34,000 members across the globe, and the CSO Center membership is about 400, and we do represent many similar countries as well.
That is fantastic. And that sounds like a really fun job. Now, I know it's not your first association job. So how did you get involved in working with associations?
It's kind of a crooked story, as many association professionals can attest to. I'm sure many share a similar curvy path to associations. Out of college, I worked for the government for a bit. Really decided I really wanted to get more into communications and worked for a political communication company. And then really decided I liked the policy side, ended up on the Hill. And so I was working for a member on the Hill from New York for several years. And he was planning to retire. And I needed to figure out what my next step was. And they had lots of glossy magazines back in the day that we would receive from different organizations, different associations. I was really not aware of the whole industry of associations, but it was a really shiny, glossy magazine about shopping centers. And I ended up getting a job with the International Council of Shopping Centers to start doing state and local government, policy and advocacy. From there, I went to a couple other organizations before I ended up where I am today. Prior to this, I was doing more government relations work at another real estate type association, and then at ASAE. And then from there, I decided I really enjoyed the more broad, management of associations, which has led me to the CSO Center and dealing more with membership and overall management than government relations at all. But it's been an exciting journey, and I've certainly learned a lot from each of those jobs that I had. And I think that's the important part, is that we keep, learning to grow and expand and broaden our skills and experience.
I agree. And I think that's why it's important to move to different organizations.
Absolutely.
So you can have that challenge. That's great. And I love how you described it as a curvy path, because you're right, it's a curvy path for all of us. So speaking of your career and that curvy path, can you tell us about a time that you felt really good about your work?
Yeah, I think I've felt good about my work often. I think that's what keeps us coming to work every day and staying in the industry. I think associations in general provide a really rewarding experience. But more specifically at the CSO Center, security tends to be very male oriented. There's a preponderance and majority of professionals are male. And I came into this as a female, and sort of organizing this, and I saw that there was a real opportunity to bring more women into the CSO Center and to inspire more women to apply for, to join this small community of security professionals. And one of the goals that I had was to create a safe and welcoming and accepting space where they can feel supported, as well as tap into the vast resources that the CSO Center has. And recently, a few women that had joined had come up to me and said, I've joined a lot of different security groups and been involved in different places.
Mhm.
This was the first time I came in and I felt completely welcomed and comfortable. And I looked around and I wasn't the only woman in the room. And, part of that was really rewarding for me, having a passion for supporting women in various different ways. It was really rewarding to see that some of the things that we've done over the past few years to create that kind of space and to attract more women to our program has really paid off. So
That's a wonderful achievement. Congratulations.
thank you. I'm excited for them, and really, it's not me. It feels good, but for them, it feels great, and that's really the rewarding part, is that they feel comfortable and supported, and they feel that they're a true part of this group and this organization, and they are contributing to their not only their own success, but the success of others as well.
Well, and that brings me to my next question for you. So, what advice helped you in your journey as a woman in association tech? And as we know, you don't have to be a techie or tech person to be an AWTC, but we all use the technology. So, what was that advice that helped you on your career journey?
It was really embracing what makes you different. I think
Mhm.
a female mentor had told me one time, embrace what's different about you, because there are so many things that are the same, which are great, but those differences is what makes the world a special place and what makes associations a really wonderful place to work and to be. And so I think using your voice to advocate for yourself, especially using technology where traditionally sometimes women's voices haven't been as strong, or as strongly heard or accepted. And I think using that, you being able to utilize your different background for that diversity of thought, and using what makes you different, your core differentiators are really what adds value to what you have to offer, and is your unique asset. And that's where our strengths tend to lie. I think that then leads to your voice. If you have a different perspective, sharing your voice. It doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be, bigger or more than anyone else, but being able to speak truthful, to speak your truth, to be mindful, and to incorporate others, and using your voice to make sure other voices are heard as well, can be a really strong impact, not only in your own organization, but in the industry as a whole.
That is wonderful advice. Thank you for sharing that. So, when you think about technology, and again, I think you're more like me, more of a user, high-end user of the technology, not a developer of it. But where do you see technology leading associations in the future?
I think there's a lot of conversation going on about this topic, and especially as AI is such a huge part of technology, or the technology conversation right now, is who's embracing it, who's scared of it, who's concerned about it. I think technology in general, whether it's AI or other things, is something that can provide a framework for associations. It's a framework to utilize to do your job better or faster or more efficient or more accurately, using technology for statistics or data, for information, is really, really helpful. And I think to be more efficient and to ease the burden of some of the things that we can get technology to do for us, allows us as individuals and as professionals the space to really be able to focus on deeper tasks and on the deeper work that really require a human brain. At least in my opinion, some things really do require a human brain to be able to accomplish. So I think utilizing technology and embracing it is really the right future for associations. I think if we try to run away from it or use it, or do not want to embrace it at all or turn away from it, is not going to serve ourselves or our members well. It's going to make us not as successful for the future, because that's where the world is going. So we have to find ways that we can incorporate it into the work that we're doing now. I don't believe it's one of those things that's going to take over the job of an association professional. I think we really need to still have humans interact. But if I can get technology to run the data for me, or to clean up some some grammar, or to process messaging and things of that nature faster or easier, I think it's something that we need to incorporate, so we can then take the time we would have used on that to focus on some of the strategy and some of the relationship building and some of the personal interaction that we really need as members, and that as membership organizations, and that's what our members want from us as well. So I think we have to utilize it, but I don't think it's going to take over the world quite yet, at least not in the next 5 to 10, 15 years.
Oh, well, okay. Well, that's good. That's a good prediction. I'm glad.
I hope so. I hope not. I mean,
no, that's good, because I think you made an excellent point there. We don't want the technology to become a barrier between us and the people we want to interact with.
right. I think keeping the technology at forefront, but utilizing the human aspect of it, I think, is really important. And one of the things that's drawn me to the association world is that interaction with people and those relationships that you build, and seeing the impact that your organization can have on people, their careers, and their professional development. And technology will never take over that human touch and that emotional connection that you can have with your members.
Mm-hmm. No, great. Again, excellent point. And now I'd like to shift gears a little bit and talk about AWTC and your AWTC experience. So what do you like best about AWTC?
It sort of goes back to the conversation we just had about what made me feel good about my work. It's that AWTC is one of the most supportive and open and welcoming organizations that I found. I was so pleased when someone introduced me to the organization and said, hey, come to this happy hour, or come to this event. And I checked out a few of them, and I found that I walked into the room and I didn't know very many people, but that wasn't an issue. I walked into the room and someone came over and said, hey, how are you? I'm so-and-so, and introduced me to other people. Like, it was not a organization where you walked in and if you didn't already know someone, you were trying to find a way to chat with someone, or you had to go over and get a glass of water and try to figure out whose group you can try to infiltrate to introduce yourself. So it was one of those really great places where I immediately felt that I was a part of something, and a part of a group that that was also very supportive. I know that a lot of the people I've met through AWTC are people that I talk to regularly about the challenges that I have, about resource sharing and understanding, common challenges and common situations. I also love that there's so much innovation. I've heard about so many new, ideas and new ways of approaching things from the AWTC community, that it is really invaluable. And one of the best parts is that it's free, and you don't find that often. So I think it's sort of a perfect storm of wonderful opportunities, and I'm so glad to be a part of it.
And I agree. It is a great group of people. But not everyone is a member yet, like we are, Carla. So in your opinion, why should someone join AWTC? And after they join, why should they get involved?
I think joining AWTC is a great idea and a great step for anyone in their professional journey. I was really not aware that you don't have to be in technology as far as a developer or work for a tech company or have IT somewhere in your title, that working with technology regularly is a great way to still join AWTC. And I think sharing that it's helped me so much to understand technology and the challenges other people face and how they're incorporating technology. So that's been a great benefit to my career and my professional development. But I also think it's a great place to build a network in an authentic way. It's not this fake network where everybody just knows everyone by name. There really is a strong community where people welcome each other and incorporate each other into the work that they're doing. And it's a great resource to problem solve, to generate new ideas, and to share resources and ideas, as well as referrals and suggestions if you need things, in the association space. So it's been a great resource for me, both professionally and personally. And I've met so many great new people through my time there. So I would highly suggest everyone consider joining AWTC, even if you don't have that IT in your title.
That's right, because it is Association Women Technology Champions. So you
Yes,
don't need to be a techie or an IT pro in order to join this group.
that was the best part.
Yes, that got me in. So
Me
that
too. I know everybody else should join, right, Cecilia?
that's right, because we all use technology and we can learn from each other. And I loved all your points about what a welcoming community it is and how helpful everyone is. And you really do feel like you're part of the group from day one.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, Carla, thank you. Thank you for joining me for this edition of Her Story. And I would like to thank all of you out there for watching this episode. If you would like to see our previous episodes of Her Story and get to know more about AWTC and its members, you can check that out on the AWTC website, awtc.tech. We have a vibrant event schedule, both in person and virtual. And we've already mentioned our annual conference, AWTC Advanced, which in my opinion is the best conference out there right now. It's my personal favorite. So you can learn more about Advanced and see when our next one is going to be. You can also sign up for the most valuable no-fee membership on the planet by filling out our member form. And then you can join our Slack community, which is very active, and get on our newsletter list to learn more about what AWTC is doing. So thank you for joining us for this edition of AWTC Presents Her Story, and we will see you next time.